Hello guys, this is Julia, and today in this video I'm going to show you guys how to get Windows 10 19H1 early, aka the Windows 10 May 2019 update. Now there are 3 methods to update to it, and I will be showing all 3 in this video. I'll be narrating over them as I already recorded clips on them. So the first method you can use, which is the one I recommend, is to upgrade through the Windows Insider settings and go on the release preview ring, which I'll show you guys how to do that. The second method is you could download an ISO of Windows Insider from Microsoft's website. Now it will be an outdated 19H1. The one I got a couple weeks ago was build 18343, which is outdated because that obviously means after you upgrade to that, you'll have to update it again. So I wouldn't recommend the ISO method unless you are going to fresh install the ISO, which is the third method, and then updating it. So if you're just upgrading, I recommend using the Insider settings, because I actually did run into an issue. I actually updated through the ISO and then tried to update it, and I was getting a problem, and then I rolled it back and I went through the Insider settings. I still had that issue, but I did find a workaround. It may or may not work because it worked for one of my friends and it didn't work for another. So pretty much it's not always guaranteed to work, but if you're having issues, you could try the workaround. If it doesn't work, then you're gonna have to wait until the final release. But I'm actually gonna show you the clips through the Insider settings first, even though they were after, because that's the way I recommend upgrading. So I'm also going to talk about how I fixed that issue if I didn't already say that. So anyways, I'm going to show you guys the methods now, and I'm gonna narrate over these as I already had recorded them but didn't have any audio, so some of them also might be time-lapsed. So another thing I wanted to mention, now I'm sure you guys noticed from how to get the other builds early videos I did in the past, with those there was actually an MCT method, but in this case there is no MCT method to get Windows 10 19H1. Either someone just didn't release it, or maybe it was not leaked this time. Maybe there will be one in the future, and if there is, I will record a video on it, but I don't think there is at the moment. So just use this method to update. Also for the Insider settings, you will have to have a Microsoft account that is signed up for the Windows Insider program, so keep that in mind. Alright, so this is the clip of me on my Surface Pro 6 signing up for Insider. So in order to get it, go to Settings, Update and Security, Windows Insider Program, and then click Get Started. Also be sure you have enough disk space for Insider. And then you're going to link your Microsoft account after you click Get Started. Be sure to click Just Fixes Apps and Drivers, because that is the release preview ring, and then walk through the prompts. It'll want to restart your device to sign up for Insider. Once it boots back up, go back to Settings, Update and Security. Check your Insider settings to make sure it doesn't have a Fix Me button like mine does, because it may need something, such as that telemetry settings were too low. And then you're gonna fix it, and then be sure it's on Just Fixes Apps and Drivers, and then click the Check for Updates button, and you should get a feature update to Windows 10 version 1903, or maybe Windows 10 build 18362. If it's something else, check your Insider settings and make sure you didn't sign up for 20H1 builds. Also, when you sign up for Insider builds, be sure your Microsoft account is enrolled in the Insider program, although it would ask you to do that afterwards. And then you should be getting the feature update, which may take a little while to download and install, but you should be on 19H1 after. Also be sure to check Windows Update after you install it, because there will be newer updates, which are cumulative updates, which don't seem to install when you do it this way. So anyways, that's that. Alright, so this is upgrading to 19H1 through the ISO method, which there's the ISO on the desktop, which I copied from my USB. We're going to launch setup.exe, and then click yes on the prompt. I will leave a link in the description to download this from Microsoft's website on their Insider download page. You will have to be signed into a Microsoft account and be enrolled in the Windows Insider program, which you can do that. There's the install Windows 10 thing. I don't know why I checked that box. I think I thought I was unchecking it. I don't know. And then you're going to click next, and it's going to do its thing. Now, right there it said preparing to download the latest version of Windows 10, which I found kind of weird, but I clicked accept on the agreement. It says making sure you're ready to install, and just let it do its thing. It'll get some updates, alongside, which the setup actually looks a little bit different. Now, I got something interesting, and this was the message saying that I have to have flight sighting or flight signing, I think, if I can read that correctly, which is kind of weird, but I just enabled it, and then it'll say ready to install, and it just gives you a little bit of information about the installation, saying that you can't use it while it installs and all that stuff. Be sure it's plugged in, and stuff about BitLocker if it's on. You won't see that if it's off though. So then it just says it's going to install and keep everything. Then we're going to click install, and you'll see the installing Windows 10 screen, which it looks different. Usually it's like a dark bluish purple, but now it changed to this light blue color, which I thought was kind of interesting. So in this case, you're just going to let it install, it'll reboot when it's ready to upgrade, and it'll upgrade. So that's that method. Now once it's done, you will need to go to settings and check your insider settings and make sure it's on release preview ring. That way it'll stay in release preview and not jump to like 20H1 on you. So you go to your insider program settings. Okay, so it'll say custom, but you're gonna click on that and you're gonna change it to release preview, and then you're gonna go back, and then you're gonna go check for updates. That way it'll get build 18362 and it won't be on an old insider build. So go back to Windows Update, and then you click check, and then it will pull down build 18362, and it actually will say that. I don't think it says feature update, I think it just says insider 18362, since we're already on an insider build of 19H1, because that's all they have on their download page. Maybe it's changed, maybe they have a newer build on there now, because I did record this a couple weeks ago, so you guys can let me know in the comments below. It's getting a lot more updates, because I also was getting a lot of drivers as well, but I was also getting build 18362. Now, just let this download and install, and it'll update to the latest insider. So one thing I want to add after that is the only bad thing about upgrading through an ISO to an older insider, which if they still have build 18343 on their website and not 18362, the only bad thing about doing that is the fact that you have to update it again means it will delete the windows.old for your previous version of Windows, meaning you will not be able to get off 19H1 unless you reinstall Windows. So if you're having issues with 19H1 and you want to go back to like RS5, which is build 17763, you won't be able to go back if you've updated twice, because the windows.old will be for 18343 instead of 17763. So keep that in mind. If you just want to try this out and you may not like it and you want to go back, it's just recommended that you just do the insider settings method if you're upgrading. I don't even recommend upgrading through an ISO unless maybe you're on a really old version of Windows 10, like a version that isn't supported, and you want to update it anyways. Then maybe updating through that method, since it won't let you use the insider settings method unless you're on a supported version of Windows 10. Or you could just update to a supported version and then update through the insider settings, which is what I recommend, but I just thought I'd add that in there. So as you guys know, I did run into some issues while updating, and I said I'm going to talk about the workaround, which I'm going to talk about it after I show the third method, which I'm going to show now, which is fresh installing the ISO and then updating it, which I did fresh install the ISO on a VM, and then I updated it, which you guys will be seeing this now. Alright, so in these clips I am setting up a virtual machine that I can install the Windows 10 Insider ISO on, which I'm just configuring it, that way it'll run great, giving it 3 gigs of RAM, adding the ISO file, and starting the VM so we can begin the Windows installation process like any other installation, which is pretty much the same for any computer. It's just I had to configure the VM before, and then after that it's pretty much you boot to the ISO and it's all the same process. I select Windows 10 Pro on the list, accept the agreement, install on the unallocated space, and I also disable the internet, that way it doesn't have us do like a Microsoft account and all that. I don't want to have to go through, skipping it all, so it's easier just to have it disconnected from the internet. That way it doesn't ask for it and it doesn't take as long to get through the setup process. So one thing that's different about Windows 10 Pro and Windows 10 19H1 is they have gotten rid of Cortana setup completely. It is the same interface, but no Cortana. She's not speaking. It's just like a normal setup. and you could just walk through the prompts, and it goes a lot quicker when it's not connected to the internet. And as I said, I will leave a link to where you could download this ISO. Hopefully by now they may have newer ISOs, but if not, it can be updated. It's not that big of a deal. There I'm unchecking all the privacy settings because I don't like having all those on. And then once the VM is up and running, I go and install VMware Tools. That way I can have the right resolution, and then we can then go to check the insider settings, and from there, just to make sure it's on release preview, that way it gets the right thing. So just to let you guys know, once 19H1 is released to the public, you can leave the insider program once it's released, but for right now, do not leave it, as you may or may not get the cumulative updates for it if you leave it, since it's not released to the public yet. So keep in mind, do not leave the insider program until 19H1 is released to the public, which will probably be later this month. So we are checking for updates here, and you will see that it will get build 18362 and let it download and install, and you should be good to go. Okay, so there's a couple more things I want to say about the fresh installing the ISO. Now, if you are fresh installing this ISO on an actual computer and not a VM, you will need a program to put the ISO on a USB. You can use Rufus, which is what I use to put ISOs on a USB. Now, keep in mind, it is important to know if your computer is based on MBR or GPT. Now, GPT usually shows a manufacturer logo at boot with the spinning circles. So if your computer does that, it's obviously GPT. Now, if your computer normally just shows the regular Windows logo in the spinning circles, it's most likely MBR. But if you do want to check, you could open system information. And when you open system information, so if you open system information, you will see here it says for me it's UEFI. So if your BIOS mode is UEFI, then you make it as UEFI. Now, if this says legacy, or then you're gonna make your USB as MBR. So that's one way to be able to tell, to search system information in your search, and you could also just go to the start menu and start typing it if you don't have the search box or the search button, and it will tell you. So there is that. So pretty much keep that in mind. Also be sure to install the right edition. Like if you have a license for Windows 10 Home, then install Windows 10 Home. If you have a license for Windows 10 Pro, then install Windows 10 Pro. If you want a dual boot, you can shrink your partition and disk management, and then you can install an unallocated space. If you're doing a fresh install, be sure to delete all the partitions and install an unallocated space. And then that's how you do it if you're doing this on an actual computer. So just want to keep that in mind. Also, after you do update it to build 18362, if it's the older ISO, be sure to check Windows Update again, as there may be more updates. So pretty much I just wanted to let you guys know that, so that way you guys know in case you didn't. And now we're going to talk about the issue. Now I'm going to tell you guys the way that I fixed the issue. However, I found out that this is not the only issue people are having. There are other ways to fix it, but this is the way that I fixed my particular issue. Now, this will only work if in the setup logs you see a certain DLL file having issues, which you guys will see the screenshot. If you see something in the setup_error.log file, which is I think setup_err.log, which I believe will be in the Windows BT folder, and I think it's in Panther, and then it's setup_err.log. I think that's where I found it. And if you see this certain DLL having issues, then obviously this fix will most likely work. Now, the thing I had to do is I had to go to the control panel. You know, when you go to add and remove programs, and then there's an option that says turn Windows features on or off. You have to uncheck Microsoft Print to PDF and Microsoft XPS Document Writer, and then you click OK, and then it'll remove them, because I didn't print to PDFs anyways, so it really didn't matter, and it fixed my issue. And after I did that, I got a different message when trying the update again, saying it needs to do a few things before I can update. And then after that, it did its thing and it updated. Now, my friend, on the other hand, didn't have that DLL in their setup_err.log file, so we know it was a completely different issue, even though they have the same error on the setup saying the hardware was not compatible or whatever. But I found some articles recently that there are a couple issues going on. So pretty much this article right here talks about some issues that people are having, which people are saying that it just says there's issues now. Microsoft actually said a solution. So they said that in this KB here that they talk about, which is just a knowledge base article, the issues caused by external USB drives or SD memory cards that are plugged in the computer. So pretty much they had issues with the drives getting mapped wrong, so they're getting mismapped, and it's causing the drive letters to not work properly, and it's blocking the update. Now, I was actually having a similar issue on my tablet, because my tablet does have an SD card slot, but I didn't have to take out the SD card for it to update. However, I noticed after I fixed the issue by unchecking those two boxes and I updated later on, it actually was saying my external hard drive was an SD card, and it was saying my SD card was my external hard drive, which I found that kind of weird. And then I found out in this article later that, oh, it's just a bug and they're gonna fix it. So if your thing won't update, just take out your SD card or any removable devices, any USBs, SD cards, external hard drives. Take everything out and then update it, and then you can plug it in. Note, you may have issues with drives not, being in the right drive letters. It might call your external hard drive an SD card like it did in my case, as they're still working out bugs. But for me, it turns out that I was able to update through that. They're having an issue with a print to PDF thing, and apparently maybe that's something they're removing. I don't know. I honestly have no idea how that would be the issue, but I read another thing when I was looking up the particular issue I was having with that DLL, and people said to do that, and I did that, and it worked. So I was able to do that and fix my issue, but keep in mind, there had that issue. Now there's other things being blocked, and there's a actually upgrade block list, or list of blocked upgrades, such as external drives being plugged in will block it. Older versions of some anti-cheat software may have issues, meaning that you may have to either update the software or get the latest version of those games, which is getting the latest software. Or you could just uninstall the game if there is no later version of the software, and then update and then reinstall it later. And also something with something about known folders being redirected with OneDrive. I didn't hear about this one, but I guess that's one of the blocks if you're having this issue. Now I didn't even know about this one. Pretty much these are the three things that it may not update for. So if you want to update and you're having issues, you could see if it's that DLL. If it is, uncheck those two boxes I unchecked. If you have an external or something plugged in, unplug it and then try the update again. And then something about this redirected known folder. So if you redirected any known folders, I guess, to OneDrive, it looks like you may have an issue updating. I really don't understand this one, but I mean, you can read it and see. I think it's just saying if it's similar names. If you did that, then the update's blocked. But I'm sure there's a way to undo the redirect, but I don't know how many people did that, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. So I will leave a link to these these two articles in the description of this video so you can read more on this. But so pretty much those are the issues I had and how I fixed it. I think my friend was having that one issue because they probably had external drives plugged in, which I believe they did, and I think that's why they couldn't update, because it happened to them on a fresh install. Now, the thing I also want to note is my VM was able to update to the newer build on a fresh install of the ISO, but my friend was not. So obviously their issue was probably to do with the external drives. So anyways, I'm gonna say thanks for watching this video. If you guys want to update, you can. Now, you could also just wait until the final release, and I will make a video on how to update to the final release once it comes out, so it's really up to you. I mean, this basically is Insider, but at the same time it's not, because it is going to be the same build number, probably just a newer dot number, which they're probably releasing dot numbers frequently to work out the bugs. And they even said that the release preview Spring is going to be going for longer for this build to work out more bugs, unlike last time. So that way they won't have issues like last year with the October update. They had a file deletion bug. They should have worked that out, but they had issues with that. And also they're going to be developing their update system to be better, and they're even adding like some additional updates. So as you know, Microsoft releases updates on the second Tuesday of every month, which is Patch Tuesday, which those are security related updates. But later in the month they release a bug fix update. But a long time ago they made it to where you have to click the check for updates button in order to receive it. But now, instead of having to click that, they're going to have an additional updates, and then if you want to install it, you can. I recommend it as it does fix bugs in the operating system, but they are not automatic. The only ones that are automatic are the monthly Patch Tuesday updates, so the other ones are going to now show in an additional update thing. So that's another change they're doing. But anyways, I'm going to stop the video so I'm not rambling anymore. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you got the May 2019 update early in the comments below. Hopefully this also helps you guys if you're having issues updating to it. And I will make another video if there's any other methods to update, such as like the MCT leaked method, if that ends up becoming a thing. Which I don't think that's a thing. Maybe it is as of right now. I don't know. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and bye-bye for now.